Hi my dolls, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Natasha, and in today's video I will be giving you my response to a three-part question, or a question that I divided into three parts. But before we get started, I want to say Happy New Year. We're finally in 2025. This is my first video of the year and I'm just so excited. I hope that you guys are excited. I know I am only recording this in like February, but I am still in like the new year excitement, and I hope that you guys are too. So happy new year, and yeah, let's get into it. Oh, and also please like and subscribe. It's just nice having you here. So I got a comment a couple of videos ago from a subscriber who asked, and I am gonna be looking at my notes, you guys know this, I am really working on trying to present better, and I feel like I'm actually getting there. I feel like I have a little bit more confidence on the screen. I don't know, you guys let me know if you have been subscribed for a while. Let me know if you feel like there's any change. Yeah, anyway, so the comment that I got that I divided into three parts was from a subscriber, and she asked she would like to know if I could delve deeper into like the past creeping up, right? How do you avoid falling into old habits, interacting with people from the past without ruining your growth or your progress in that space? And also, how do you capitalize off of being alone? Some solo date ideas, and how you can better focus on achieving your goals, which I am all gonna get into in this video. I have broken up the response into three parts, so this would be the last response to this question, right? Where I am gonna focus on your alone time, how to capitalize off of your alone time, and how to make the best of it. So again, please subscribe. So I think the first thing we need to do when it comes to navigating this topic is differentiating the difference between being alone and being lonely, right? Being alone is the physical absence of people. So right now I am alone in this room. Well, technically you guys are here with me, but there is no other human being in this room other than myself, and so that is being alone. But being lonely is accompanied with a feeling of sadness, and that is when you kind of long for someone, or long for interactions, or long for meaningful engagements with other people, right? And so you can be alone without feeling lonely, and you can also feel lonely while not being alone, right? I feel like I'm bouncing this word around a lot, and I hope that like I don't mix it all up together, right? And so anyway, going back to what I was saying, that you need to identify the difference between being alone, if you are alone, or if you feel lonely, right? And that will just help you navigate that space a lot more better. So also in this video, I'm going to focus on navigating being alone, because the whole theme of my past few videos is working on your goals, how to be focused, how to be disciplined, how to kind of like but basically how to like go after your goals without like any distractions, and just being very aggressive in reality with like chasing your dreams, and how to do it the best way, right? And so for that, I am going to focus on being or feeling lonely, because that is something that you might come across. Most people do come across. In previous videos I mentioned how it is so easy to feel lonely when the people around you don't really understand your dreams or your goals, or the people around you don't think that it is necessary to achieve those goals and whatnot. And so when you are doing all of these things, sometimes it does feel alone, and sometimes you do need to distance yourself from certain people if they are not supportive of your goals, or if they can kind of get into your head and try and make you feel like as if it is not worth chasing your dreams, or it is impossible. What people often tend to do is project their feelings. If you want to know more about that, please check out my previous videos. I will link them down below so that you can catch up. It will make this video will make a lot more sense if you go and watch my previous videos, or the 2 parts of my response, right? So let us talk about navigating the world of loneliness. Okay, so when it comes to feeling lonely, you need to try and figure out exactly why do you feel lonely. For some people, they might feel lonely for a very short period of time or for very long periods of time, right? Loneliness could be, first of all, before I even get into like what can cause loneliness, I do want to emphasize that feeling lonely is a completely valid and natural and normal emotion. It is not something that anyone should feel ashamed of, and I feel like this is why like I enjoy having these type of conversations, because these feelings are so valid and natural that when it comes to like chasing after your dreams, it's almost as if like you're not allowed to feel or have room to feel lonely, right? And I don't think that is healthy. I think it is so important to chase your dreams while also like navigating and unpacking these emotions in a very healthy way, right? So okay, so when it comes to feeling lonely, you need to try identify, which most of the time is actually very easy to identify, why it is that you feel lonely. It could be events like losing a loved one, it could be breakups, it could be moving into a new city or a new environment, and all of these things that I'm mentioning have solutions to them, and it's important for you to understand why you feel a certain way so that you can create like an ideal solution for it, right? So those are, in my opinion, things that would cause feeling loneliness in like very short periods of time, right? Things that would cause feeling loneliness in like longer periods of time could be feeling like depression or anxiety. It could be really low self-esteem, mental health conditions. It could be social isolation, right? And when it comes to like chasing your dreams, you, in terms of loneliness, you could kind of fall on either sides of short-term or long-term feelings or periods of loneliness. Okay, so now that you have identified what it is that is making you feel lonely, you will have a better time you will have a better time putting together a solution as to how to overcome that, right? In the world or the theme of self-improvement, like I mentioned earlier, feeling lonely could be just not being surrounded by supportive people, people who might project onto you, people who might not understand your goals or feel like your goals are impossible. I think in the last video, and I am going to say this again, I spoke about the crabs in a bucket mentality, and this is a theory on social media that you can, I'm sure like someone has studied it, but you can go onto the internet and read more about it. But crabs in a bucket is basically a theory that like most people tend to live by. So what happens is, if you take a bucket and put a lot of crabs in it, if a crab tries to climb out, other crabs will pull it back down, right? And this is something that humans usually go through when they are trying to push out of a space of comfortability. And we often see this in trying to reach our goals, right? And so if you are experiencing loneliness in that, there are so many amazing ways that you can actually navigate this. And I think it is fun that these ways exist, right? So I usually use the example of like health and fitness, right? Because it's very easy, but you can apply what I'm about to say to other areas of your life or whatever like goal you're trying to achieve, right? If you are trying to, say for instance, eat healthier, right, it would be ideal to surround yourself, and not all the time. In my previous video I also did mention that it's ideal to have different friends for different things, right? Or not that it's ideal, but it's kind of natural to have different friends for different things, right? In the sense that like the friend that you go shopping with is most likely not going to be the friend that you do other things with, right? There will be friends in your friendship circle who you can do multiple, who fit in different categories. There will be friends who you can go to church with, go shopping with, go on lunch dates with, and go to the gym with. But in most cases, they are, or let me not say in most cases, but for some of like our not so close friends, they might fall into just gym buddies, or they might fall into just like shopping buddies or whatever, right? But if you want to go to the gym more often, maybe find a class that you can join. Find a Pilates class or a running class that you can join, and you are most likely over time going to build relationships with the people there because you guys all have a common goal. And so that does minimize the feeling of like loneliness when it comes to trying to reach your goals. If it is something like trying to eat healthier, join cooking classes, join gardening classes. I think that is something that is so much more fun when you learn about like how to create like a nutrient environment or a healthy environment for the food that you're about to prepare. And I think, you know, not only are these classes or communities going to help you achieve your goals or stick to your goals, and create an environment where you have support, but learning more about those things will help you reach your goals better, right? So going back to like eating healthy, if your goal is to eat healthy, then it will be so much more like beneficial for you to expand your knowledge on the varieties of foods that you can include or make, and how like these foods are grown and what determines a good quality product or not, what environments create a good quality product or not, you know. So that's one way to navigate like feeling loneliness. Another way to navigate feeling loneliness is volunteering as well. If you know, kind of struggle with maybe building connections in those spaces, what often feels like, or what I can actually guarantee you will fill your cup, is doing acts of service that are beneficial to the community. So find like an organization that you can get together with to, or join. Find an organization that you can join where you can get together with people to actually give back to the community. And this doesn't have to be related to your goal, but I often find that when you are kind of trying to build yourself up, it's so much more fulfilling when you can also do that for other people. And it doesn't even have to be something that like you tell people about. It doesn't have to be something that you post on social media and like gloat about all the time, but it will be fulfilling, and you will find meaningful connections in those spaces because you are pouring out into other people, you know. Or other things. It doesn't even have to be people. You can volunteer in spaces where it might be in relations to like animals or like the environment. So yeah, so that is one way to navigate feeling lonely. Another way to navigate feeling lonely is also getting a pet. Now, getting a pet is something that you can do for, that kind of will just my English is running away today, but that kind of will exist in your immediate living space, right? It's not something that you can take to work with you. It's not something that you can take to the gym with you, or at least not that I know of. But you can go running if you like. If you are a running person, maybe get a dog and run with your dog. But getting a pet kind of does help with feeling lonely if you live alone, right? If you don't live alone and you feel lonely, then that also will help, because that's something that you can kind of like have in your own little world, even though you have a shared space, right? But if you are going to get a pet, make sure that it is something that can fit into your schedule. I did create a video about like how to build like a routine or a schedule that flows. And maybe if you are considering a pet, find places as to where you can include that in, because pets also do need like care. If you are someone who has a family, then you understand that like people around you also need to be taken care of, and so adding a pet is into the mix. Yes, it will help with like the feeling of loneliness, but it is going to be a little bit of extra work in terms of like your routine, but it is like manageable, right? Just expanding a little bit more on navigating the feeling of loneliness in your immediate space. This is outside of work, this is outside of like your hobbies or your goals or whatever, like the gym or church or whatever. In your immediate space, it is so easy to feel lonely in that space, especially if you don't feel like you have the support for your goals and whatnot. I don't know how you would and I'm going to be very honest, I don't know how you navigate that if there is not a single person in your life that you can share your goals and aspirations with. If there isn't, maybe in the communities that you join, like the gym or church or whatever works for you, maybe try seek someone that you can build a long-term friendship with that might, and again, this is like if you're single again, because hopefully if you are in a relationship, that your partner is someone that you can share these things with and obviously not feel lonely with, or lonely with. Anyway, so in other communities, seek long-term friendships, right, with these people and try build that. I know it's not very easy trying to make friends, especially like the older you get, because you know people hurt you. Sometimes it's just not easy to like be social in certain spaces or whatever the case is, right? Maybe you don't even live in the same town as your friends, and so it might just be a little bit harder because you and your friends back home have been best friends since you guys were 2, and now you're in this completely new environment where no one speaks the language that you and your best friend speak. But once you start engaging in these other activities or communities where that have the same goals and aspirations that you have, you will find it a lot more easier to build connections. And I say this because of the sole fact that you guys have but again, shared goals, right? It is so hard to make friends or become friends or try to be friends with someone who is who doesn't want to work out, right? And is constantly talking about how bad it is to work out, and you know, why work out when you can Netflix and chill, da da da. But if you want to go out and work out, then it's harder to build on those grounds. But if you in those spaces where you find friends in those communities, it will be a lot more easier. Try and build lasting friendships if you can. And when I say lasting friendships, I rather want to emphasize on the fact that like seek fulfilling friendships or communities in those spaces, and kind of allow those spaces to exist in your world for however long they may be. Don't now try to be making friends where you're making plans that, oh, on our 80th birthday we're gonna go to the Maldives together or whatever, but rather build fulfilling friendships for whatever that period is. And what I often find is that if you try build for like a meaningful friendship, those people will kind of forever be in your life, even if you guys aren't always going out together, right? Or going to the gym together. They might move away, but they might be the type of person who, hopefully they might be the type of person who will still share like something that they've learned in fitness. You know, I have a friend who I met in Johannesburg, and she moved here to Cape Town long before I did, and her and I, we don't get to see each other often. We see each other like once in a while, but her and I, whenever we do link up, like we met at like a business summit at BMW in Braamfontein. I think it's Braamfontein or Newtown, and we just like hit it off then. But like every now and then we talk, like if something's trending or if like something is on the news, her and I like might have like a chit chat about it, you know. And these are friendships that like kind of stick with you for as long as they do, and kind of does dilute the feeling of loneliness. If any of these tips don't work, then I highly suggest that you seek professional advice or help in the form of a licensed therapist, because they'll be able to unpack exactly why you can't connect with other people or why you are feeling this prolonged feeling of loneliness. I am very pro therapy, and I think it's not something that anyone should feel ashamed about. Therapy or therapists are people who have the tools to help us navigate emotions and unpack feelings that we might not understand, that we might misjudge or misinterpret. And so if none of the tips that I have listed help, then maybe it would be advisable to seek a professional who has studied this and is able to identify why it is that you are feeling lonely for a very long time. But if it is not something very serious, then I think that the tips that I've mentioned will be very helpful. I do think that this is the last bit because I wanted to make a very short video and it isn't short. But the last bit that I want to emphasize on is that it is not fair to expect the people around you to fit in every bucket. So remember earlier I mentioned how like maybe your church friends might be gym friends, but they might not be shopping friends, or they might not be like cooking friends, right? It is very unfair to expect that everyone in your life will fall into every bucket. And once you identify who falls into which bucket, then you're able to maximize off of like those feelings, right? Or those spaces. So again, guys, like go out there in the world. No one has to be like, friendship doesn't have to be something that like you had since like childhood, right? I have like one of my colleagues is like a very dear friend to me, and that's because we both admire design, right? So for those who don't know, I work in marketing and she's a graphic designer. I am a content creator or a digital marketer, and one thing we really appreciate is design, and that's something that like we will talk about or like explore and unpack, and that really does kind of like again dilute the feeling of loneliness in that space, because I have someone who has this shared love for design with. I can't expect like my friends from gym to admire design and like architecture or colors or color theory in that same regard. That person from gym and I might be able to admire, you know, the physical body and what it is capable of, or you know, those type of things, right? So don't expect everyone to fit into every other bucket. Once you acknowledge this, you will be able to achieve your goals without the expectation of other people understanding that, or even without the expectation of like wanting other people to participate in those things. And I think once you release yourself of that, it just makes it so much more easier to go out in the world and like do this little fun activity that like helps me with my goals without having to drag someone, because this person you're doing it with wants to do it. Anyway, that is it for my video. I hope that you guys found it helpful. Please let me know in the comment section what you guys might be dealing with, if you guys want like advice on anything else. If not, just stay subscribed because there is a lot of content coming your way. And yeah, I hope that you guys enjoyed it, and that you guys are subscribed. I really appreciate you guys. And again, Happy New Year. Let's see what 2025 has in store for us. I am so excited for the year. Like every year just gets so much better. And I hope that it does for you too. For every down, there is an up. So always look at the glass half full. Anyway, okay, I'm done.